Hello and welcome to the Apex Racing League GT Championship live on Apex Racing TV and live on the iRacing Esports Network. We're here at Monza for round 2 of this season 3 of the championship. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick. Alongside me is Adam Hedgecock with Sam Kumo on the cameras. And Adam, we come off a topsy-turvy Road America round. It was very difficult to predict what was going to happen next. We have plenty of issues for all the front runners, and this Monza circuit is another risky circuit for the drivers where it can go very wrong very easily.
It can indeed. Yeah, there's a couple of massive braking zones here where if you're not on your toes, you could have an issue. And another draft track. We had a lot of fun last week with the draft. Meant the drivers could kind of stay in contention with each other a little bit more. I'm expecting more of the same tonight. And boy, I love watching racing here, Sam. It's always good fun. I hope that we have a good one tonight.
Absolutely. Viewers from both channels, Apex Racing TV and the iRacing Esports Network, may have been watching the Aussie Mixed and Fixed GT Championship, which was running at this same circuit. Both series are kind of following the Le Mans series. I think it's Le Mans series that we are following for both championships. I did write the schedule, copying the same round. And in that race, we saw a lot of slipstreaming, not a whole lot of overtaking. Might be interesting to see if that is going to occur again. The drivers are currently in their practice session, so an 80-minute practice session is currently going on. We're going to reach the end of that in about a minute's time, and then the drivers will have 10 minutes to set 4 lap times, which will the fastest of which will be their qualifying start time, and then we will have a 25-minute first race. We'll then randomly reverse the grid for race 2. And then that will be a 40-minute race 2 straight after. So it should be some fantastic action today. Word on Tom McMahon last time out, Adam. I think McMahon was probably the biggest gainer out of last time. I mean, considering that he had a crash, him and Bodan still doing extremely well in the championship. Not sure if we can get the standings up on screen, but him and Bodan, top 2 in race 1, had awful race 2s with a big pile up at the start of it, but both got back into the top 20 and are still right in contention at the moment, nearly at the front.
It was certainly damage limitation for them, wasn't it, on race 2, just trying to claw back as many positions as they could. And what was good to see was that Tom continued his form from last season, where he was not overly aggressive with the moves that he was making. He was pretty patient and just made the moves when it was right for him. And Bodan doing the same. We had question marks about how he would deal with traffic. Certainly from that far back, we wasn't expecting that, but he seemed to cope with it pretty well as well. So confident tonight that they won't have the issues, but as we saw, it can change in the blink of an eye, and they might have to do it all over again.
That's the amateur standings as well on screen. Stephen Leahy, who was classified as a pro last week, however, the organisers decided that his qualifying time, which is a good reflection of your ultimate pace, was a little bit behind the pace. Of course, rookie driver Stephen Leahy certainly shouldn't be considered a demotion or anything. It's just very tricky to tell when new drivers jump into the championship which category they're going to be in. But a few drivers just being put into the amateur category after that Road America round, and so it should be very competitive. Leahy though at the front of it, but of course only one round completed. We've got a lot more action to go later on in the championship. 8 rounds of this season. We're going to have a break week after this, so if you can have a good meeting today, you can go into the week break with a lot of confidence that you could perhaps move up the order later on in the championship. As the drivers just on their outlap at the moment. Is this a risk of picking up a 1x around this circuit, Adam? Because there's some places where you can't track extend. I think you got the exit to the Lesmo, and maybe Parabolica. Can you say that? Will that be much of a concern for the drivers?
It shouldn't be, no. Definitely the second Lesmo, the nature of that corner, you just want to throw it in and get on a power as early as you can, but get on that little bit too early and you drift out into the outside curb, and it's a little bit unforgiving there. Parabolica, it's a weird one really, because you want to run the outside curb as much as you can, just open up the steering, get a nice run. But all of a sudden, it's just on top of you. There's an off track out of nowhere. So yeah, it's not a common one, but wow, you can see how late McMahon is on the brakes there. That's phenomenal. Just a note on Leahy, by the way. When the announcement came out on the Discord that there were some driver changes, I can't remember who. Somebody posted on there. Is anyone going to own up to being the one that was demoted? And nobody said a thing. There was no hands raised. So I think he's going to be coming out tonight with a point to prove. He didn't drive badly last week at all. He just didn't quite have the pace, as he said. The pros here are phenomenally quick, and he just wasn't quite on par with them.
Yeah, pretty much anyone who doesn't have a realistic chance at winning the overall championship is put into the amateurs. We've also got some drivers who have performed very well in the amateur category before, who are also promoted, Adrian Serns and Tom Stevens, and also Kev Copeland winning the title last season, all getting promoted from last season to this season. Also, Emil Winbo was put as an AM at the start of the season. He then qualified fourth at Road America, so he's understandably been promoted despite not getting much of a result. His ultimate pace is very good, is Winbo. Might still be some changes after this round, but to be honest, I think the rating should be pretty much the same for the rest of the season. McMahon, we've got pretty much an entire onboard lap on board on the board, a little bit like we had at Road America. A little bit of a slide coming out of the corner, just trying to get some adhesion on the rear tyres, and he approaches the line. Can he beat his teammate Bob Humphrey? And he does comfortably. 44.2 for Tom McMahon. Good lap time there for Alex Moore as well to put himself into a second position at the moment before Eichenberg moves up into second. However, still 3/10 of a second off. And Bodan as well, 3/10 of a second off. They should, if anything, get a little bit faster as these tyres warm up and as the fuel drains down. But that is a phenomenal lap straight away from McMahon. In fact, actually, they're going back to the pits instead. So they're doing one lap and then going back to the pits, getting some fresh tyres on, and then I guess we'll do one or two more laps in their second stint.
It's been a while since I've driven this car in anger. So I'm not sure how the tyre deg on the second lap works out, but yeah, what a benchmark from McMahon there. That's crazy when you consider how close him and Bowden were last week, and Eichenberg, we know how quick he is. I've said that a few times over the past couple of seasons. To be that far ahead already is pretty amazing, to be honest. Powell currently leading the AMs a full second and a half behind. That's also pretty incredible, the disparity between the front pro and the front AMs at the moment. But it is a confidence track. Usually if you are a pro driver, you enter the track with a lot of confidence, don't you? You go out there and you know exactly what you're doing with the car. It feels great to be driving, and you just you take it all in. You thoroughly throw the car around and enjoy every moment of it. So this being a track that way, you can see that the pros probably would be that little bit quicker.
Yeah, most likely. Often circuits where you're running less downforce as well, you are a bit more tricky. I've certainly always struggled at Le Mans. Really struggle at Le Mans. But partly because I think of the long straights, it's very difficult to kind of keep your intensity when you've got such long straights. But also just the lack of rear wing. When you do get to a corner, it's very difficult to keep the rear end in check no matter what car you are driving. And this one is probably relatively similar as well. So yeah, currently McMahon on pole. They're just doing their out lap, I think. Maybe they are on their current lap. A few drivers having different ideas. Some drivers seemingly staying out for the entire 4 laps. They might not get the entire 4 laps in with the 10-minute quali session. They may not have time to set all these times. That's currently watching Winbo trying to improve. In fact, he hasn't set a lap time so far. I think you can also pick up a 1x on the outside of that first Lesmo as well. But Winbo keeping it within the white lines impressively. And he's on course now for the Ascari chicane coming up. We'll be looking for probably a top 10 finish if he can.
Please remind me, I've seen this livery again, it's just reminded me, please remind me after this broadcast, Sam, to renew my Apex Academy. I still haven't done it from last week. When I said I forgot to do it, it's gone out of my mind again, and I need to do it. Please remind me after this broadcast. That livery does look great. I have to give props to the guys that do the Academy liveries. Well, in fact, all of the Apex Racing Team liveries. They seem to suit every car, don't they? They always look great.
I'm just struggling to remember which one Apex Racing Academy is. Is that the one where you can get setups from pro drivers such as Peter Bayman and Antoine Higley, along with several other pro drivers in a mix of GT, open wheeler, and prototype cars? Is that the one? Along with
Funny
track
you
guides
should
as well, I
mention that.
believe. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is that one. That's
That is
the
the
exact.
one.
That's the same one that I had some nice conversations with Jamie Flute, no less, about GT3 cars in prep for the World GT Championship. Yeah, a font of amazing knowledge and resources is that academy, and I encourage anyone to go to it.
Yeah, I always forget the name of it, but just trying to remember what the website is. Of course, ApexRacingAC.com that viewers can go to get an Apex Racing Academy subscription. So thanks for jogging my memory there. Just couldn't quite place that one. Here comes Jonas Boden though for Hell Racers, Swedish driver. Can he get any closer to McMahon here? This he might get one more lap in. Is he going to go for one more lap, or has he not got enough fuel? Let's say he's going to go for another lap. McMahon's back in the pits, so if Boden can absolutely nail this one, he could take pole position away. However, it wasn't an improvement on that last tour. It did set a purple Sector 1, albeit 1/100th of a second faster than McMahon's fastest Sector 1. Eichenberg's in third place. Very good qualifying at the moment for James Crouch. In fourth place, Mads Grafson trying to improve. Second place last time out in race 2, and he moves up to 6th, but that is very tight. Everyone from 6th down to 11th.
Incredibly tight, isn't it? And you know what? I think we're going to see this during the race as well. I don't think there's going to be much between any of them. Now, so just a quick question about the rules, because I know you look after this kind of thing. That white line, they're all taking liberties with this qualifying, going right over that white line. How's that faring in the race? Are they allowed to go outside of that during the race, or is that deemed leaving the track?
That will be, I believe. I'm just getting a word in my ear from the stewards, and they are just confirming that is legal, in fact.
Gotcha.
for the drivers to see. So thanks to the Apex Racing League stewards for doing a fantastic job. I mean, you would do if you're on a 5-figure salary, just for this one series as well. So no, thanks to them though for donating their time. Jay Steffi in 32nd place, got driver from the F3 series. I don't think he's taken part in the F3 series, unfortunately, but he's still in 32nd place at the moment in the GT Championship. So we are going to take over to the race. Will be potentially, no, it's not a full formation. We just have half the formation up, which is good. It's very good. Tom McMahon starts on pole position. Jonas Boden in 2nd place. There's Eichenberg and James Crouch make up the 2nd row of the grid. Then it's Hutchinson, Gravson, Luke McCowan, Daniel Lee, one of his worst qualifying for a season and a half. I don't mean that harshly on Lee or anything. He was just a little bit unlucky. He couldn't quite get a little bit further up. Another 10th would have probably put him on the 2nd or 3rd row of the grid. Alex Small starts in 9th. Then it's James Salt, Emil Winbay, Bob Humphrey, Arthur Godsick, Seb Rowe, Callum Wright, Matthew Chambers, Stephen Leahy, Dean Powell. So Leahy actually getting ahead of Powell there. That will be top of the answer. Just apologies if the colour coordinators isn't totally right. I think one of the Apex Racing League organisers clearly didn't update the project file correctly. So apologies for that. Max Wolf starts in 20th. Then it's Tom Stevens, Mark Heron, Joseph Saul, Daniel Civi Watch out for Civi actually from 24th. That will be his first race of the season. Nick Brown starts just behind him. Then it's Kevin Kitzelman, Tim Perry, Jensen Adjinsons, Tom Bingham, Adam Coles, John Gordon, good to see him back out there for Fuga Sim Sports, Jay Steffi, Ryan Jones, Steve Brown, Robert Lundgren, and John Chessida, rounding out this 36-car field. And the Mustang at the head of all of them will be about to pull away. Last time in race 1, Adam, we saw Bodan leading McMahon. Bodan seemed to have a small pace advantage, but they were very evenly matched. Do you think it's going to be a 1v1 between those two once again, or do you think anyone further down is going to get in the mix?
I want to think, and I want to believe that there'll be some more guys in the mix. I think this, although Road America is a very drafty track, this one just seems to keep the cars that little bit closer. Yeah, I'm kind of hoping that more cars get involved, but it's hard to see past these two, isn't it? Just like it's hard to see the driver in the Mustang. He still needs that booster cushion. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how late McMahon goes, because you don't want to go too early here, because that gives even more of the straight for draft. So it'd be interesting to see how he plays this one. And well, of course, we've seen some big incidents coming into turn one on this track before. So hopefully we don't see anything like that this time around.
Few concerns from drivers. They could have a big incident. Fingers crossed we don't. We do have the safety car on standby, and we are due a safety car. We had the Apex Racing Academy F3 Championship on last night around Bathurst. And I mean, if you ever won a pile-up rounds with any car track combination, that's the one. And somehow he didn't. So we are due one, and 36 cars on the grid, it could be a problem. But hopefully they'll all get through fine. It's Tom McMahon taking his first pole position of the season. Yes, once again, him and Jonas Bowden on the front row of the grid. Car number one still lining up behind the Mustang pace car, which will come out pretty late in this track, and then it will be under the control of Tom McMahon. Race 2 of the season, round 2 of the season is underway at Monza, and it's Tom McMahon for EVSR pulling away from the rest of the order. Bowden did well to get across to the right straight away to cover off Eipenberg, and it might actually be Crouch who has the best run down into turn one. However, no overlap seemingly at the moment. The front drive's quite separated. Dean Powell just on the outside as well, trying to gain a place. There goes Bowden down the inside. McMahon has to leave him space, and he did well to leave him space there. No contact between the two of them. Good start for Grabson up a place, Lee up a place. Also Seb Ray and Callum Wright, awesome start for them. Up 4 places each. It seems as though the 6th row of the grid just got a little bit of a slow start and has dropped down the order slightly. Alongside at the moment are the two EVSR drivers of Salt, who's had a rubbish start down 5 places, is James Salt and Matthew Chambers, who stayed in 16th place. There goes Dean Powell on the inside as Emil Wimbo now cuts the chicane, and now it's Powell who's round. And one of the top drivers in the amateur category, everything went wrong for him at turn 3 at Road America. And it's gone wrong for him again at turn 3, this time at Monza. And he also had a little bit of an unsafe rejoin as well. But they got through that first chicane pretty well, Adam, but then a little bit of contact at the second chicane.
Yeah, they seem to get a little bit clumsy over the curbs in the first chicane. I'm surprised we didn't see more incidents there, but the second chicane is really when it starts pinching in, and unfortunately for Powell, he didn't come out of that one in one piece. Sebro, there's contacts there. In Ascari, you have to give each other room. Oh, who was that flying through?
Grabson? That's a guess.
I think it was. No, I think it's Godsick. Oh no, Godsick's fine.
I thought it was one of the... Oh, and we've got another off now. The 285, and a couple more. That's Dean Powell again. Oh, and that's off into space as well. So, plenty of kind of small crashes there, which have just eliminated a few of the drivers, unfortunately. Robert Lundgren's managed to get through this. He's up 8 places now, Sunken. So there was Wright down the inside.
Oh, he's hit the curbs.
Yeah, and then just unlucky for who was in the Porsche. Yeah, I think it was Godsick, you were right. Yeah, it was Godsick. Race 2 winner last time out.
It was, yeah. I thought Rowe got really lucky there, didn't he? The way he kind of didn't hold his brakes, then held his brakes. Who's that on their roof?
Leahy. So a couple of the top amateur drivers gone so far. It means that might even be Adam Coles at the moment, top of the amateur drivers. I'm not quite sure. He's up 14 places. It was really tight. I think this is Salt and Humphrey at the front of this. Winbow on the inside, and Leahy in the yellow Porsche just gets tapped around and then just nudge over, and that's lost lots of time. The Ford who made contact with him, I'm not even sure who the Ford who made contact with him. It may have been Salt. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. You know what? Craig Charles would be going absolutely ballistic at the moment if this was Robot Wars. He'd be loving that. That was a perfect tip over. That was amazing. Not so much for Leahy, but yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? You try and slow down, you get a little bit of contact, and then the cars behind, they try and slow up. They don't quite do it, and the cheese-shaped Ford. It's so easy to tip a car. He just got really unlucky, but they're pulling away, aren't they? McMahon and Bowden just noticed that 2 seconds back to Eibenberg already. That's going to be tough to get back, especially in the draft. He's probably just about out of it now. Although there's 3 of them, maybe they can work together. Or maybe not, as we see a late lunge for the inside into turn 1. Wow.
He wasn't letting that one go, was he? Eibenberg defending. Well and truly out of draft range. He just got Daniel Lee as well. A little bit further back, doing much better than his teammate. Emil Winbo. Has Winbo just gone down? Chambers as well. Oh, they made contacts, I think, on the entry. It's not turning into a very good day for EVSR. You can cut that. We did see a penalty in the AMF GT Championship earlier on for a driver who I think just straight lined that. Didn't respect the bollards, not the bollards, the foam boards. But you still get a slowdown either way. Hasn't worked out too badly for them. Changed the speed down into 17th place, which could be reverse grid pole. I think we have anything between 60 or 14 and 24 on the reverse grid wheel. I believe that we can pick for race 2. So that could still be all right for them. Joseph Saul now top of the amateur drivers in 18th place.
He's doing well. Some big movers with all the incidents that have been going on. Several drivers in double-digit gains. Sippy Sabo with 12. You said look out for him. He's gained 12 positions already. Adrianson's up 15, which is pretty amazing. Seb Rowe having to go a little bit defensive as they come to Ascari, but Sol just backs out of it. That livery is something kind of special, isn't it? Tim Perry up 13 as well. Ryan Jones 11. Lundgren 12. Tressida 12. I think that's about it. Yeah, some big movers. Really big movers.
No retirees so far. I think everyone's still going. Oh, as here comes Eibenberg's lost that place then to James Crouch, but Crouch runs wide. Eibenberg has to go the long way round. Grafson can't really do anything with this. And but Grafson, one of the threat runners in the championship at the moment. Lee and McCowan as well, just behind. Hutchinson and Moore having their own battle, just behind, actually losing time. Hutchinson and Moore due to their squabbling. No way through into the chicane. Might just be worth Eibenberg cooling down, maybe just letting Crouch lead for a couple of laps so they can start pulling away from the rest of the order. Certainly no sign of them being able to put any pressure on the top 2, who have now got a 3-second lead. Bodan, though, starting to put pressure on McMahon. You do have a little bit of aero wake around this circuit, especially through the Lesmos. And also Ascari potentially as well. But it is very possible to overtake with the draft as well. They're just coming up to Dean Powell at the moment, the back marker.
It's such a shame for Powell, isn't it? Because he was on AM pole, essentially. And yeah, there he is, just in front of the 2 leaders. McMahon seems a little bit slow out of the final part of Ascari there. Bowden right on the back of him. And the quandary right now, Sam, is do you try and make the move and try and pull away? Or do you leave it as late as possible and give him as little chance as possible? Gravson has he just lost the place? No, he hasn't. I thought he'd lost the place to Lee.
Was in 5th. Now just behind Lee.
There we go.
Makes up a place for msignsuk.com. As here comes Bodan though. He's got the better line on McMahon. McMahon seemingly wanting to defend this. He'll go around the outside at 1. So the first time we've seen these 2 wheel to wheel, certainly the favourites for the championship. They seem to have an advantage on pace over the others. Bodan couldn't get it done. Pretty respectful at the start of this race. An 8-point gap between winning and second place. It's quite a big gap compared to other series that we have. 60 points versus 52 points. And so it's certainly worth getting that win. Of course, Bodan winning race 1 last time out at Road America.
Just that little squabble at turn 1 there, the first chicane, lost them 0.7 of a second to the pack behind. So they have to be cautious of that. They have to keep that in mind, because if they want to go side by side, you see Perry and Wimbo having a little bit of contact going into the second chicane. You need to leave each other a bit more room. Unfortunate for Perry there. Seems to have got away without any major damage. Probably going to get a nice slowdown. Oh, careful as you rejoin. Rejoins just in front of his teammate, Rob Lundgren.
Yeah, I'm not sure whose fault that was. It is so tight, that chicane. I think anyone with a brain wouldn't design a chicane like that anymore, to be honest. But it can be good because often you can go around the outside there because you can carry a lot of speed on entry. But no, it certainly does cause a lot of issues. This proper old school circuit. Safe to say that the chicane's really narrow, of course. The first one, the most recent one, of course. So it's perhaps a little bit more appropriate for modern machinery. Wimbo, who is a pro. Apologies again. What can I say? The ARL admins really aren't very smart. Matthew Chambers trying to get past Emil Wimbo, the pro driver, for 14th place. They've got a bit to catch up to Adjinson. Surprising that Wimbo is dropping back, but we know that Matthew Chambers is very strong in the races. Remember, got 2nd place at Phillip Island, race 1 last season. Also a 4th place, I believe, at race 2 at Silverstone. But apart from that, it was mainly spending time outside the top 10 for Chambers, where he is currently at the moment, but he's up into 14th place at least now.
He seems to be a bit chalk and cheese, doesn't he, Chambers? Like he can be absolutely amazing, put in some stellar lap times. You look in the practices, he's usually right up there. And then it all kind of falls apart when he gets to the crunch time. See Callum Wright pulling out early, going into the second chicane. Have to give each other plenty of room. He takes the curb. You see how much the curb launches the car across the track. Chambers slow, going defensive before they get to Lesbo's little kiss of the back bumper. Yep, I'm still here, buddy. I want to come through. But Chambers, he runs wide. Surely you're not going to throw up the inside of the second Lesmo. He's trying. He's trying to force Chambers out of position, but can't quite get it done as they head down to Ascari.
They're going to be painfully slow. This is inviting Aaron Powell up to the back of this, but they'll cost each other so much time, and Wimbo's right on the tail as well of these drives. He can't do anything with it. Too narrow at a second, bit like we saw at Road America. Too narrow to go through wide, and Chambers stays ahead. I think, if anything, though, Wright was just a little bit too aggressive, particularly going into Lesmo 2. Maybe you can see the idea after going into Lesmo 1, but Lesmo 2 just put them both offline, and now he's having to go defensive, decides to take the better line rather than take the slipstream. And 1-3-1 just on the inside. They will be able to catch up to Chambers by the end of this straight, obviously, because they've got so much of a draft. Something happening for Bodan and McMahon as well. The two leaders have made contact on this lap 7 of this race 1 at Monza, and they're nowhere near each other. What on earth has occurred here? It's McMahon ahead of Bodan, who has completely outbroken himself there and wipes out the defending champion, who gets away with it pretty fortunately there. Dean Powell originally took the lead, however, he then lost the lead to James Crouch, and I think Dennis Eipenberg's managed to get past Lee as well somehow. I don't know how Lee has lost quite that much time, to be fair, but it was really held up. And that is a massive change, and we've been waiting for these two to go wheel to wheel, but not like that, Adam.
No, that was incredible. Could that have been a hardware failure of some description? Because that was a long way, wasn't it? There was no lockup or anything. He was just flying into turn 1. I've got no real words for that. That was incredible. What it has meant is that Crouch has headed his way to the front of the pack, with Eipenberg and Lee in third now. So let's see how this one plays out. How quickly can McMahon and Bowden maybe get themselves back up to this pack? It's going to be a tough ask.
McMahon's surely going to be lacking straight line speed. Might have a decent idea by the end of this straight, because he got a big whack on the back of the car. There is some aero damage, seemingly, which will be affecting him more down the straights than the corners. Of course, the old Dodge model these cars are running, Bodan is only 1 place behind. However, I imagine Bodan will be very courteous to McMahon. And McMahon is struggling down the straights. He is losing time down these straights at the moment, so he will do well to stay in 6th place. I don't think he's going to have any chance at passing Graveston unless there's some big batsing ahead. So it looks as though we might see a new winner. Potentially Eipenberg, the only one out of the top 5 who has won a race in this series before. Hutchinson losing out to more. These two have been really battling with each other throughout. Nice battle between the two of them. They've now got James Salt, who's got back up to 10th place. Remember, Salt lost 5 places on the first corner, but he's coming back strong now. As off the circuit is Matthew Chambers. He's been in the wars so far. So Bro has been in the wars as well, and Bro now moves up into 15.
a lot of these cars are starting to have some very second-hand looking diffusers, aren't they? McMahon's was all rippled. We're looking at Powell, his is all rippled as well. I think the high-speed, heavy braking is catching a few drivers out. Remember a few rounds ago, tail end of last season, we were saying Lee just needs something to go his way, and he can get that maiden victory. Do you think this could be it? Could this be the one? He's only a tenth and a bit off the a second and a bit off the lead. What do you think? Is this possible for Lee?
I'm a bit confused, to be honest, whether or not he was ahead of Crouch and Eichenberg.
He wasn't. It was Powell. He unlapped himself.
Okay, so
he was
Powell
between,
who
wasn't
got
he?
held up. Right, okay, thanks for clarifying that one. I'm not sure at the moment. He doesn't seem to be able to keep up with the top two at the moment. However, the top two will fight. So he will be with the leaders, won't he, by the end of the race? It's just a question of whether or not he'll be able to pass the two of them. Earlier on in the Aussie Mixed and Fixed Championship, we saw Craig Edwards just being able to do nothing from third in chain, doing nothing against his rivals, and kind of having to just settle for third place in the end, despite being right on them for the entire race, perhaps having a pace advantage. I wonder if Lee will be in the same situation. However, if Crouch and Eichenberg do lose each other a lot of time, then maybe Lee will be able to pick them up. Behind, McCowan and Gravson battling. I think this is the same order. I don't think there's been any change into the chicane, although they were very close. McCowan, can he win a race? We saw a debut win last time out, of course, in race 2. If we could see a debut win as well for James Crouch or Luke McCowan, or Matt Gravson as well. Going into in this race 1 at Monza.
It's certainly the win is up for grabs at the moment for anyone in the top 5. Really, if they have issues, we saw McMahon and Bowden have their issues. If there's another incident, then anyone in that top 5 can do it. Only 3.2 seconds separates the top 5. McMahon is dropping back now, another 5.5 seconds off the pace there. So. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how this one plays out. They are kind of spreading just a touch, aren't they? Crouch and Eichenberg just pulling a little bit ahead, a little bit further away from Lee. But I think that's Eichenberg's playing that sensible there. I think just using the draft, not wanting to fight too much at this point, because as we saw before, you can lose a lot of time with that. Just checking further down the field, Adrianson's is now our biggest mover with a gain of 15. Which is pretty impressive. Biggest loser so far, I hate that term, but the biggest loser so far is Leahy with 19 places lost.
Great TV show, though.
I've never seen it.
Oh, it's fantastic. Really, no. I can't really describe it. Do you actually know what it's? As we've got a spin around. We get the weight loss programs. We're back on action. God's sake, that was. Arthur Godsick, race championship leader. For Vika Simsports, won race 2 last time out from second place on the grid. Was very quick though, Godsick. But just shows how crazy around that was and just how unlucky he is at the moment. Unfortunately for him, there's no chance of him being within the reverse grid at the moment. If he could start on the second row again here, you wouldn't bet against him against another race win. But you need to finish up in the top 20 to give yourself a good chance of getting within the reverse grid. Because I remember doing our mid-season podcast last season, Adam, and the difference between the upper midfield and the lower midfield was pretty much where you finished in race 1. If you finished within the reverse grid places in race 1, then you could get good points in race 2. But if you just missed out by a place or 2 in every round, then you didn't have much of a chance.
No, it's make or break, isn't it, really, that cut-off for the reverse. It can really do wonders for your championship. We said for quite a few drivers, didn't we, that just need to get an extra place or 2. Just fight for that extra place, that 1 or 2 spots. And it would have just transformed their entire season. And we're seeing the same here. It's already... the difference it makes for getting a good reverse is astronomical. So unfortunate for Godsick. It doesn't look like he's going to go his way this week. But you never know. There could be incidents in race 2. We're just seeing Salt having a fight here with Hutchinson. Salt going to the inside pretty early. you have to be really late on the brakes here. Very clumsy corner. See, Hutchinson just takes that inside line. That inside curb can really throw you out as well, which is what it's done there. And Salt now round the outside. Is he going to get it done into the second chicane? Again, you have to be so careful. We've seen already how much that inside curb can throw you. They're going side by side still, not letting this one go. Salt later on the brakes, and Hutchinson just concedes the corner. That's probably the smartest thing to do.
Back marker as well, getting a little bit in the way. That was Steve Brown, 237 car. Good that the drivers now have numbers, and I think all the numbers are set correct. So, well, at least they've done something good on that. But I've just realised that there's no Kev Copeland out on site. I was looking out for the number 2, Tom McMahon with the car with the number 1 on his machine. Kev Copeland, though, unfortunately not out here today, which is a shame. The defending amateur champion. Of course, now being promoted up to a pro driver. Top 19 currently pro drivers. Adam Cole's actually ahead now of Joseph Saul in 20th and 21st. Saul, I think, would take the lead of the amateur championship if it ended like this. It was very strong at Road America, of course. Was Saul, very, very good driver. I think probably the favourite going into this season, along with Dean Palpert. Didn't necessarily come together for him, I think, in race 2 last time out. But that's in race 1 at the moment, running a solid 21st, but once again, unlikely that will be within the first grid. McCohen and Gravson are very close to one another, and it looks as though Gravson has finally got ahead alongside, and Gravson moves up into 4. He's finally got ahead of Luke McCohen, lost that place earlier on, but he's come back again. A little bit too late for them to catch up to the drivers ahead, as McCohen is going to have to go the long way round. We've seen this move work many times before already today. He's going to try and muscle his way around the outside, but just enough there for Gravson. Took a lot of curb. This can slide down if you take that line. He does stay up in that 4th place. These guys are 3.5 seconds ahead of Tom McMahon, who is only just ahead of Jonas Bowden. But there I'd say, I think Bowden might be staying behind McMahon deliberately after hitting into him very hard earlier on.
At the risk of saying another phrase that you might not understand, I think Bowden has his tail between his legs a little bit, cup in hand, and any other description you want to give. Yeah, I don't think it was his finest moment. So yeah, I think you're right. He might just be apologising to McMahon by staying behind him, which is kind of a weird way to do it. But all the power to him. It's good that he's seen that and he's taken responsibility for it. Can I just say, Sam, by the way, it's very pleasing to see the timing tower with all the pros all together once again. It's 3rd season it's been like that, and my OCD thanks you.
It's not quite. It was Nürburgring season 1, wasn't it? I don't know if you remember that. I have posters of it on my wall. When the top 10 were all pros, and then everyone from 11th to 20th were all AMs. Love it. Absolutely love it. That was a magical meeting right there. But it's not quite that, but it's not too far. We've got a few too many drivers at the moment, which means that we can't quite appreciate the divide. As Matty Chambers, he's having to go defensive against Callum Wright. Long way round for the Ford. We've seen loads of overtakes around the outside so far today. This isn't going to be one of them. Seb Rowe just losing the rear end of his car just in the background. Remember, 16th I think is the lowest we can have, or maybe it's 14. But if you are finishing 16th, then that's a good place to be. Emil Winbo currently occupying that place. We have got this lap and one more lap to go to decide who's going to win this race 3 of the season, race 1 of round 2 of the Apex Racing League GT Championship. Still looking very good for James Crouch. He's got a 1.4 second lead over Daniel Seidberg, with Daniel Lee running in 3rd.
Some might say he's taken some long strides to extend that gap, or he's currently head and shoulders above the rest. Insert any other tall person puns here. No, he's driving brilliantly well, isn't he? It's good to see. And what I like about it is that these are new guys coming into the league. The standards and the quality is so high, but it doesn't seem to faze them. They're just taking it by the scruff of the neck and just running with it. And and driving really well. It bodes well for the rest of the season. I think Gravson, we saw him got past McKeown last time by, and McKeown just not letting him go, is he? Forcing him to take a defensive line. Both of them so late on the brakes. You see how much the car lurches forward as they slow down. McKeown not close enough on the exit of the first chicane there to really make a difference into the second one. Salt having another battle. It just seems to be battle after battle for Salt today. I think he's going to need a bit of a lie down after this one, Sam.
Yeah, definitely. More on the inside. Salt does seem to have the pace advantage at the moment. Was 0.8 of a second faster that last time round was James Salt. And he does get ahead. 8th place now for Salt. Good meeting at the moment for him. Certainly a driver who we know can challenge for the championship. Not sure if he finished 3rd or 4th last season. As Adam Foy going to correct me on that one. Now I do have a nice spreadsheet. Didn't win a race though last season, did James Salt. I'm just trying to think, has he won a race before? I ought to know that. I think he's won in like American GT perhaps, but I don't think he's won in normal GT yet.
So that predates my notepad.
No, he won at Spa, didn't he? He won Spa Race 2, Season 1. Obviously. You remember that one?
I don't. I'm reaching for my archives as we speak.
Yeah, he won that one because I remember he got like 39 incidents for it and got like 20 penalty points, but he won the race, so it still counts as a win. Luke McCowan is back ahead of Mads Gravston. These two so far ahead of McMahon because of McMahon's aero issues, and of course Bowden staying behind McMahon out of courtesy. But back comes Gravston to the outside. We'll have the inside for the second part. There's contact again. There's been a few pieces of contact between the two of them. We're on the last lap now. We've just about edged in an extra lap by approximately 20 seconds. Gravston will have to get the toe now through Curva Grande. Only 2 points difference this battle. It's not massive for the championship. Of course, if you do finish behind, then you start further up for race 2, but you wouldn't know it. You would think that this was for the title right now. He's going absolutely furiously fighting over this, but it's all very respectful at the moment. And it's Luke McCowan at the moment as we claim that 4th place. Out in the lead, James Crouch though, with a 1.66 second lead. However, Lee is coming back strong against Eipenberg and might even get alongside. He's to the outside at the moment of Eipenberg. Here comes Daniel Lee. This is for another 4 points on your tally. However, drove it in really deep, did the high caliber Autosports Pro driver, and just pulls a bit of a gap as well on the exit. Lee runs wide. He might have a run to the line, but I don't think he's going to be with an opportunity into the Parabolica. Should just be able to cover off the inside. Eipenberg, he goes to the outside, but the checker flag is about to be waved for our race leader. We saw a debut win for Artur Godzik at race 2 at Road America. We're going to see another debut win at race 1 at Monza, and it is James Crouch who wins out, and in very impressive style as well. Eipenberg holds on against Lee in the end by 1/10 of a second. McCowan beats Gravston by less than 1/10 of a second. Great battle between those two, and McMahon does beat Bodan in the end. So that will be some consolation. However, it should have been an easy 1-2 for the pair of them. Bodan with a massive mistake and may well receive penalty points and a pit lane start for future rounds of the championship. The other drivers just coming across. Adam Coles is going to finish in 18th place. Coles gaining a couple of places near the end. Godzik as well. Assuming an issue for Joseph Saul, who drops down to 25th place. But well done to Adam Coles. I believe his first amateur race win. Up 12 places. 30th on the grid.
I wonder if we might see anyone running a little bit skinny on fuel, because we went that extra lap, didn't we, by only a few seconds. So I am wondering if in the case of Saul, maybe he might have to be nursing the car home just a touch. He has crossed the line now, but what a great finish that was. I did wonder if Lee was going to get Eipenberg there, but Eipenberg just placed his car beautifully, didn't he, just to protect the second place, and what a win for Crouch. That's brilliant to see. Third different winner in 3 races so far this season.
Yes, hopefully that keeps up. usually once someone says that, it ends. So I know he's to blame if it does come to an end.
Well, I'm just
anytime soon.
reminiscing from last season. Now, it was great to see McMahon, get all those wins and drive the way he did. But we kept saying before every broadcast, maybe this could be the one where somebody else gets in amongst him. But yeah, good to see. 3 from 3 so far.
Yeah, McMahon not winning any of the last 5 races. Across Suzuka last season, admittedly had a hardware failure, which denied him on that occasion. And also second place last time out at Road America, and then being wiped out from the lead here. He's not got the rub of the green at the moment, but it's not too bad for him. Still finishing in 6th place. James Crouch, though, your race winner for Vanguard Simsport. 2nd place, Dennis Eipenberg. 3rd for Daniel Lee. Then it was Luke McCowan, Mads Grafson, Tom McMahon, Jonas Bowden, James Salt. Good recovery there from Salt after dropping down to 15th at the start. Alex Moore was in 9th. There was Mark Hutchinson, who dropped down quite a bit, Hutchinson, but wasn't a bad drive for him by any means. Max Wolf under the radar, up 9 places though to 11th. I don't think we saw Wolf all race long. The Hungarian Daniel Sivisabo said to watch out for him. He was up 12 places. Jensen Adriansons, all the Indy Sport Autosport drivers doing way better in the race than what they qualified, up 15 places there for Adriansons. Then it was Matty Chambers who was in the wars, Emil Wimbo who was in the wars as well. So too was Seb Rowe actually. Alan Powell struggled to do much in 17th. There's Adam Coles, top of the amateur drivers. Arthur Godsick, a good recovery to 19th. Bob Humphrey rounds out the top 20. There was Tim Perry, Nick Brown, John Gordon, Robert Lundgren, Joseph Saul, Tom Stevens, Tom Bingham, Ryan Jones, Kevin Kitzelman, John Tressida, Mark Heron, Dean Powell, Steve Brown, Stephen Leahy, Callum Wright, and Jay Steffi. The final 2 there, Wright and Steffi, not scoring points. They finished more than 1 lap down, and so they will not score points, unfortunately for them. Sam, Kumo, it is time for the reverse grid wheel. We were denied it. We've been denied it a couple of weeks in a row in the ARLTC Championship, but we can bring it back right now for the GT Championship.
Yeah, denied no more. The wheel is on the screen and let's just spin it. But who knows what happens next season with ARLGT? Do we also go to a heat racing format or not?
I know what I want. So.
So it will be 24.
24, wow, that's the biggest we can get, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And so that will mean Robert Lundgren will be on pole position. Good news for Lundgren, making his... I'm not sure if he did do... Oh, I think one of the BC guys missed out on the last round of the championship. I think it may have been Lundgren. But he will take pole position then for race 2 of the evening. Joseph Saul just misses out. Hasn't been Saul season so far. John Gordon up on the front row of the grid. Watch out for Bob Humphrey. Arthur Godsick, could he get another race 2 victory? You're going to have to watch in about 15 minutes time to find out, because we will be back in quarter of an hour for race 2 of the evening in the Apex Racing League GT Championship. You do not want to miss it. We'll see you back very soon. welcome back to the Apex Racing League GT Championship, live on the iRacing Esports Network and live on Apex Racing TV. We are just prepping up for this race 2 of round 2 of the championship, and we've just seen quite a controversial race 1. Adam Hedgecock. It looked like it was going to be a very similar race 1 to at Road America last week, with Tom McMahon and Jonas Bowden leading away comfortably. And then all of a sudden, Bowden missed his braking zone, and that seemed to completely transform the outcome of the race.
It certainly did, Sam Fitzpatrick. Yeah, there's quite a discussion on the Discord at the moment. There's a few incidents that the drivers aren't particularly happy with, some incidents that they feel aggrieved by. But now's the time to dust it all down, go again, and get ready for the longer race. It should be an absolute banger of a race. I feel a lot of the drivers have kind of got their eye in with the chicanes and how they go about racing their competitors. So now they're all fully warmed up. This one should be an absolute beauty.
Absolutely, it should be a fantastic one to watch. Big reverse grid really does set quite an unusual start for us. Robert Lundgren starts on pole position with John Gordon alongside him on the front row of the grid. Then it's Nick Brown, Tim Perry lines up in third. Then it's Bob Humphrey, Arthur Godsick. Remember, one race 2 last time out at Road America. Adam Cole starts in 7th. Then it's Aaron Powell, Seb Rowe, Emil Wimbo, Matthew Chambers, Jensen Adriansons, Daniel Sabo, Max Wolf, Mark Hutchinson, Alex Moore, James Salt, Jonas Bowden, Tom McMahon, Mads Gravson, Luke McCowan, Daniel Lee, Dennis Eipenberg, James Crouch, Joseph Saul, Tom Stevens, Tom Bingham, Ryan Jones, Kevin Kisselman, John Tressida, Mark Heron, Dean Powell, Steve Brown, Stephen Leahy, Callum Wright, and Joe Steffi. Like 6 cars there. Since we lost World GT, or since I stopped doing World GT, I haven't usually had to come through many large grids, but that's what we're having to do here. A lot of fun. So how do we rate Lundgren's chances? You're a good friend of Robert's, Adam. Do you think he'll be reveling in this situation? Apparently there's a bit of hype going into this round from him.
He'll certainly be excited by it. Rob is a guy who he's quite an emotional guy, and he loves challenges like this. Hopefully he can keep his emotions in check and just get his head down and go for it. We know that he can be a very consistent and fast driver, as long as he can keep his mind focused. And if he does that, then he's got a real chance of leading this race for a fair amount of time, until the pros eventually make their way to the front.
Absolutely, it is Lundgren then from the pole position then, ahead of John Gordon and Nick Brown. What is going to happen for this race 4 of the season, as the drivers put their foot down and we are away racing for 40 minutes of action at Monza. It's a little bit of a slow start for some of the front runners. A couple of drivers just being slightly pushed offline. It's still Lundgren leading the way though. Nick Brown in 2nd place, John Gordon in 2nd as well. There's already a few incidents further ahead. Big lock-up for Tim Perry, it seems. However, most of them have got through all right.
That was kind of what we were hoping wasn't going to happen, wasn't it? In these races, we know how tricky it is coming down such a heavy braking zone. Unfortunately, a couple of them got caught out there, which is a real shame this early in the race. But there's got plenty of time now to try and claw back those places where possible. It's a little bit side by side through the 2nd chicane there. Oh, and some of the slowdown. That Winbo with a slowdown from the 2nd chicane.
Yeah, massive shame for Emil Winbo there to lose a few places. Started in 10th place, and he dropped the 1 place at the moment as Winbo, but still massive shame for him. So it's Nick Brown leading the way, Bob Humphrey in 2nd place, Arthur Godsick already up into 3rd, and it's looking pretty good. It's a game for Godsick to challenge for the race win. And also fantastic start for Jonas Bowden as well, up 4 places. So far, and not being able to make quite as much progress as we've got. Lundgren in fact round at the Ascari chicane, and he's going to be sent right to the back of the wheel, and he was fortunate not to involve anyone else in that.
Yeah, that was a massive shame for Lundgren. I'd be interested to see what happened there, because he was sideways going through Ascari and dropped all the way down. Looked like he got back underway though without any issues. It didn't look like anyone else collected him. But what that does mean is that Humphrey and Brown are now side by side coming down into the first chicane for the lead of the race. Humphrey just getting his nose ahead of Brown there. Brown gave him plenty of room, and that means Humphrey is now released. Godzik is now in third place. He's going to be chomping at the bit. He's going to be looking for his second win of the season. Not too far behind Humphrey, and Wimbo with another slowdown. Oh, this is going from bad to worse for the Swede. Max Wolf having a battle down in 12th position there. 3 wide as they come towards the first Lesmo. Wow, that's impressive. Hutchinson getting up the inside of Moore there by the looks. It looks like Moore had a slowdown. He's still serving it. Cars darting around all behind him, trying to avoid him, trying to get in front while he's serving it. Such a horrible place to get a slowdown. Lost multiple places there, did Moore. Such a shame for him. He was running a lot higher up than he was. But out in front, it's still Humphrey pulling a bit of a gap on Brown at the moment, doing pretty well so far. Looking to extend his gap as soon as he possibly can, because with Godzik, Gordon, Powell, Rue, Chambers all in close proximity, they're going to be chasing him pretty hard as soon as they can get past Brown.
Certainly the cork in the bottle at the moment, it seems. As they start the chase once again down the pit straight. Crouch trying to just get past at the moment. The lap time's a couple of seconds slower than what they were doing in race 1. And Crouch at the moment, no way through. It seems just playing his car into the middle of the circuit. There is McCowan. And the Vulcan Sim Racing driver doing a good job into 1. Dan Lee also in that 20th place. Nick Brown, though, trying to defend against Bob Humphrey at the moment. Humphrey, former race winner, of course, at Phillip Island last season in race 2. And he's got the inside line into the first Lesmo. And he moves ahead. Into the lead goes the Evo SR car. As Godzik might be soon passed as well, but Nick Brown did defend well for a period. A little bit sideways as well for Sebro, a little bit further down, and now Humphrey's got to put in some strong lap times. He often finds himself near the front in these race 2s, sometimes makes a mistake, which just compromises him. This is a fantastic opportunity right now for Humphrey to take another race victory to accompany that Highland race. However, Brown staying within draft range at the moment.
I must have missed Brown getting back past Humphrey, because Humphrey did pass him at one point for the lead. So apologies for that. It's Boomer Adam having issues, I think.
I think that may have been me, to be honest. Getting that one wrong, but anyway, Humphrey's leading now, and that's what counts.
It does, and look at Godzik right up behind as well. He's I said not so long ago that he would be chomping at the bit to get by. Brown going very defensive, just holding Godzik back. Godzik can stick to the back bumper as close as he can. Very so clumsy through the second part of the first chicane. Really hard to get the car, to get the power down. He's just a little bit too far back coming through Curva Grande, I think.
Powell getting past Bro surely here. Chambers just like behind Bodan up into 8th place now with McMahon. Oh, Chambers! Oh, that was nearly into the back of his teammate there. Oh, that could have been a whole lot worse for Matthew Chambers. I think he even locked the tyres for a moment there. That's the worst case scenario. Because they are, Powell is based in America, so there's the potential for netcode as well. Now, very fortunate not to make contact on that occasion. towards the 144 car as Gosling is now past Brown. So Humphrey just dropping a little bit further further up the road, and Godswick does get ahead of Brown. Brown looks as though he might start fighting that one, but just lifted out a bit, and that was certainly the smart thing to do. So Godswick could be the first repeat winner this season. I still don't think he'd be leading the championship, but you led the championship after 16th in race 1 at Road America and then winning race 2. And it would be a 22nd or something, whatever he finished in race 1, 20th I think it was, and a first potentially here, but he's still 8 tenths of a second behind Humphrey, which is just about a waft to slipstream. Isn't going to be helping him much, but still might drag him up.
They might do indeed. I think Brown played it very, very well there. I think he realises that maybe he hasn't got the outright pace to keep Godzik behind. So rather than lose time, he's just let him pass. He's going to sit in the slipstream and try to not spill his drink as he's going through the first couple of corners there. Is that something fizzy? It sounded rather delicious.
Very professional box once again, John Gordon.
Hey, it wasn't me that opened a fizzy bottle.
Well, it wasn't me either, so I think that eliminates. No, absolutely no. John Gordon has been overtaken by Seb Rowe, I think, right there. Aaron Powell and Max Chambers still not getting past. These two very quick drivers, but they're not really being able to show their pace at the moment. McMahon ahead of Bodan as well. How's that happen? Bodan must have made a mistake into the first chicane, because Bodan was ahead of McMahon, and now he's quite far behind. So perhaps a mistake from the Hell Racers show. Maybe McMahon returning the favour, which only seems fair after race 1.
It could be. It could be. Surprisingly, there wasn't too much conversation between them on the Discord. It was a lot of the other drivers discussing their incident. So I don't know whether they've had a private word, a private message, maybe. One thing that I know from having raced in this series or previous versions of it is that all the drivers are generally pretty amicable. If they have an incident, you generally get a message pretty quickly saying, "Yeah, look, that was my bad. Apologies." You know, which is a great thing to have in a league. So maybe they've put their differences aside and now they're just going back to what they love doing with the hard racing.
Did you ever send one of those messages?
I send a lot of those messages. Yeah. Certain. Oh no! Big incident.
No. And now the teammates
one.
get together, and McMahon is going to get held up as well. But you got to feel bad for John Gordon right there. He loses out on a couple of places. McMahon's going to go through wide with his teammates. Oh, guys, this would be legendary if they took each other out right here. I think just getting out of the throttle, we'll take a photo of that. That's lovely. McMahon, car number 1, moves up into 5th place and puts a couple of cars between him and Bodan for good measure. And could still win this race. He's 8 seconds currently off his teammate Bob Humphrey out in the lead. But that was, I'm not even sure who made the original contact. It was Chambers ahead of Powell, wasn't it? So I imagine it was Chambers. He just tapped the back of John Gordon, who has dropped to 13th place after that spin at turn 1.
Yeah, not entirely sure with you, Sammy. I'm not entirely sure how it played out, but a huge sigh of relief for McMahon. He must have been holding his breath as he went through there because, yeah, spinning cars and the eagerness to get back on the track is sometimes gets the better of drivers. See Bingham with a massive overspeed there on Coles. Coles blinked for a moment. You don't want to be seeing that when you're about to go into Ascari. Bingham maybe just put off by that a little bit, just drops back a touch, but we can see right behind him Joseph Saul not giving him any room, not any comfort at all at the moment in time as they head down towards Parabolica.
Unfortunately, I had to restart our live timing app, which doesn't happen usually on SDK Gaming. I'm not saying that it usually crashes, but my one goes a bit, so I have no idea where these drivers started, apart from decent memory. Saul, I know he started in 25th because of course he missed out on the first group by 1 position. So his other few places at the moment is still but well behind the amateur leader of Nick Brown. That's alongside, just ahead. It's all going to be able to pick his way through it. Adam Cole's race 1 winner out of the amateurs was the one who lost out big time, and now Saul is going to go alongside him. So Lee trying to take advantage of this in the draft. Who's going to win out here? It's alongside all the way down into the chicane. There's also a bit of context as well for a couple of the drivers further up. And there is contact there again. Can Lee take advantage of this? No, he can't. And Saul does move past Coles. He probably only a matter of time till he gets past as well, but Coles a good fight there and stays ahead. Oh,
Contact in the
it's,
background.
It's Powell. Was that Powell? No, it wasn't Powell. It was Salt. And Kittleman as well.
Yeah, looks like you can't go side by side through the first Lesmo. That's just not going to end well for anybody who participated in that adventure. And I think Salter's just reset back to the pits. He was done with that situation and headed straight back. This is Hutchinson trying to go around the outside of Powell here at Parabolica. He's going to get a lovely slingshot, isn't he? Get all the momentum for going around the outside, then covers off the inside rather abruptly. Maybe chop the nose off of Powell just a touch. But look at this train, all four of them just trying to stick with one another. We're going to see a late move maybe down into turn 1. No, we're not. Although, who's that behind? We are. Wolf having to go defensive. Eipenberg trying to get one over on him. Holding the inside for Curva Grande. Maybe he's going to try around the outside into the second chicane.
2 Dutch drivers bouncing one another. McMahon's up into 4th place. By the way, a bit further up, Eipenberg, that was relatively easy for the high caliber Auto Sports Pro driver to move up into 10th place now. I've got quite a lot of field spread at the moment. 12 seconds off the lead is Eipenberg. Could probably still get a top 5 out of this one. Still got plenty of time to go in this race. 26.5 minutes to go. There is the difference between the drivers. More on Crouch. Batsing one another. Crouch race 1 winner. Feels like a while ago. That's very close with Alex Moore. Also had good pace in race 1. Started around this position. Moore though goes off. He's going to lose plenty of places there. We always see it. Overtakes into the Lesmos. This is such an old school circuit. Said everyone, no one would design a circuit like this anymore. So many of the corners don't really facilitate clean racing. And that was another example of that. You go spinning round.
He does, yeah. 2 into 1 once again. It's so easily done as well. You get a run and you think, oh, you know what? If I can just get my nose in, if I can just put him off a little bit, and you never want to be the outside car. Crouch, is he serving a slowdown? I think he might be. He's very, very slow coming out of Ascari there. Lee just breezed past him. Wonder if he might have cut the chicane a little bit too much. You can take a lot of the rumble strips on the entry into Ascari, but you take it too much and you get a little bit of a slowdown. So maybe that was him just having to serve that. Speaking of slowdowns, Winbo has joined us in the Apex Racing TV YouTube channel, and he said lap 1 slowdowns are fantastic. With the excursions we saw, I'm not surprised he was suffering with them. Put pay to his race entirely.
Didn't quite see that one on, or at least I didn't see it. Maybe we saw it on stream with that incident for Emil. Shame, because it's extremely quick, but we see this a lot of the time with fast new drivers to the series. It's so difficult to put some good performances down straight away. It takes you at least a season to really get used to the close quarters racing and start to get the most out of the car. But I'm sure a couple of podiums are in the waiting for Emil this season. Humphrey, by the way, only just ahead of Godsick. Godsick might even be able to get past here. He needs to measure this one carefully, does Arthur. Doesn't want to battle too much with Humphrey. He's usually a very courteous driver, doesn't put up too much of a fight, scores a lot of points, does Humphrey. Doesn't necessarily go for glory. Well, the race win, although he has won, of course, in this series before. Here comes Godsick, a Polish driver. That looks rather simple for him. Moves just a little bit ahead. They've got a 1.9 second lead to Brown. Don't want to lose too much time. Will Humphrey fight this one too much? He does the smart thing. Just stays behind. Now, it is Arthur Godzik who leads for Fugger Simsport Red. It could be another race to victory for the 198 car. Back comes Humphrey, though, who is retaliating. Didn't go around the outside at turn 1, felt confident enough with the cutback. He has got a good launch here, good momentum into the chicane, and he takes it back. Bob Humphrey back into the lead of the race, and this is all a little bit of a waste of time right now. Adam, no one's benefiting from this out of the two of them, and they just lost each other about a second right now.
That was supreme confidence there from Humphrey. He's deceptively quick, is Bob Humphrey. He just keeps putting the laps in, lap after lap after lap, getting quicker and quicker and quicker. Just when you think you can get a run at him, he'll just step it up just that little bit. And what a great move into the second chicane there. There's the curbs I was referring to before. You can really attack them, clip the outside once as you go through the mid corner, and then attack the inside curb once again. Brown, right back in this again, isn't he? I thought for a moment that he'd lost the draft a bit, but he's within a second again, so he's got the draft once more. Maybe he can have a say in this battle. We see Godzik getting so close to the back of Humphrey there. He's going to have a mighty run down the main straight. Maybe going to have an attack once again into turn 1.
Well, Humphrey didn't cover this one off earlier on, and he's not going to cover it off at this time either. It's the exact same situation. You would expect Humphrey to do the same thing again here. Great curly, that's what he does. We'll just try to get the cutback. However, Godzik might know this and will break a little bit earlier himself. Humphrey right on the tail. That might be a little bit too close, if anything. Now, last time Godzik went wide through curve and wanted to cover the inside for the chicane. Looks like he's going to do the opposite. This time is Humphrey even pulling out. Here he goes then. Humphrey's got that overspeed. I don't think Godzik's going to have a chance here. There's contact between the two of them a couple of times, and Godzik's going to have to cut the corner here. Is he going to drop down to third position because of this? He might even drop down to fourth. Back into the lead goes Humphrey. Here comes Brown round the outside, and Nick Brown does get back ahead. And the top two fighting for the second race in a row has really compromised them. And Godzik drops back to third place.
Does indeed. We've said it before, haven't we? Those chicanes, you have to be so careful. You don't really want to be going side by side. I mean, we saw the previous lap. Humphrey went for it and got away with it. But we've seen a few incidents where the drivers just haven't quite left enough room, and that's another one there. And Godzik, he's got it all to do again. He was in this position right at the start of the race, wasn't he? Having to chase down once again. And of course, what that means, look at McMahon. He's so much closer now. The gap between himself and Brown, he's got a car in the middle, so now he's getting tow as well, which is going to pull him up. And then Bowden in the background. This is going to be crazy, Sam. I'm getting excited just as I'm realising what's happening. I'm getting more and more excited about what we've got in prospect for the second half of the race.
Bowden is saying some good times. Him and McMahon pretty much matching one another, so McMahon's got to go very quickly through these guys. Good job from Bowden actually to get past. It was Humphrey and Powell, I think it was. Anyway, Godzik once again going to get past Brown with a bet to exit, and here comes McMahon just behind. Godzik, new driver to the series, may not have a whole lot of respect here for McMahon. McMahon might get squared, might get a little bit stuck here on the outside because Godzik's still alongside him. Can McMahon go either way? There's almost contact between the two of them. McMahon goes to the outside. You're not going to be able to do anything with that. You just stay ahead, though, of Godzik. It's good manoeuvrability there from Tom McMahon. Bowden right onto the back of these drivers now. McMahon should be past Brown very quickly, you imagine, and this is looking like a very possible race to victory for him.
It does indeed. I'll tell you one thing, Sam, and I'm sure you've experienced the same thing, but when you see a number one on a car, you don't treat it any differently than any other racer out there. In fact, you defend even harder to prove that you're worthy of being in the league. As we see Brown taking a really early defensive line, not giving McMahon any room, any whiff of getting his nose alongside. He's going to be defending for all he's worth to try and keep his behind. Look at Godzik as well, just trying to figure out which way he's going to go, who he's going to get the draft from. It's going to go 2 by 2 by the time we get down into the Parabolica. See Bowden coming flying in as well. McMahon going around the outside, trying to get the momentum now on Brown. Brown's kind of going to be stuck out there on his own. The three pro drivers who he's battling with are all going to have the tow from each other. And I have to say, I think it's pretty much game over for Brown at this point. I think 2 of them, maybe 3, will get past him by the time we get down into turn 1.
It's straight line speed though for Brown. I think the BMW might be marginally faster, and despite McMahon having the better line, the Parabolica, Brown's been able to come back waiting really deep though. But good move, and now Bodan's got ahead of Godsick, and he's right onto the back of McMahon. These 2 are the favourites for the race win. I mean, if they carry on fighting for a few more laps, maybe Humphrey might stand a chance, but I think they'll probably be able to catch up to Humphrey anyway, as here comes Bodan, the shorter run to the second chicane. The outside line works really well. He also got the bigger BMW, might be able to shove his rival out of the way. However, leaving plenty of room there, Bodan. You really do feel as though that incident with McMahon earlier on, where he took out McMahon from the lead, it is in the back of his mind, and he is driving very cautiously at the moment, is the Swedish driver. There's no way past for him at the moment, and they'll try to regroup now and go back after Brown. But Bodan's best chance at passing McMahon, I think, is probably going to be when McMahon gets held up by Brown. So he's got to get back onto the back of him straight away.
I have to agree with everything that you've just said there. We see a bit further back, Ivanberg having to go defensive to try and keep Roux behind him. And you've got, it's that Powell just behind as well, Aaron Powell just behind. So this is a nice little scrap just inside your top 10. I'm going to stop making predictions about what's about to happen in the race, because that straight line speed from Brown was incredible, wasn't it? How he stayed in front of McMahon, Bodan and Godsick was amazing. And see how close these 3 are getting. Wow! Roux giving just enough room to Eipenberg ahead. There was almost a collision. And Powell just trying to find a way past, isn't he? Ducking and diving. And we see just behind them, Wolf is also in the slipstream. That livery, I can't help but smile when I see it, but Eipenberg having to go defensive, not from one driver, but from 2.
Oh, Roy with a little bit of contact. Don't know who was on that front of the nose, but maybe that's Roy. McMahon up into second place, has got past Nick Brown, and has Bodan got past as well. Bodan looks as though he's going to be able to get past. There he goes. Good move from Jonas Bodan. Good racecraft so far from him today. And Brown now having to go defensive against Godsick. So Bodan just drops out of the draft though of McMahon. The gap up to 1.3 seconds now. So he's going to have to put in some good laps to get back into draft distance. Godsick right onto the back of Brown as well for 4th and 5th. Got 4 seconds back to Mark Hutchinson. He did gain on them by about a second on the last lap. No move there for Godsick. However, Brown does seem like the slowest driver out to the start. Remember, Godsick was fighting for the lead with Humphrey for a little while. That feels like a while ago, even though it was only about 10 minutes ago. And has had to make up some places since. With the tow now from Bodan, however, he does get back ahead. This is the apex though. I think he's going to really have to compromise his exit if Godsick, and we know that BMW is quick down the straights. It's up into 4th place though now is the Polish driver, but Brown back alongside, long way ahead of his amateur rivals, still having a good run from 25th on the grid up into 16th, but he's nowhere near at the moment. Godsick just about defending. Hutchinson gets the gap down to 3.5 seconds now to these 2.
Saul having a bit of a humdinger with Adriansons at the moment. They've swapped positions a couple of times over the last couple of laps. But yeah, Nick Brown, what a drive. He's not phased by any of this, is he? Godsick getting his nose ahead. Brown coming back, vice versa. Godsick up the inside of the second chicane, though. Gets that one done. Gets a better exit as well. Catches a bit of dust, but gets a good drive away. And I think that's Brown now done and out the way. Now he's got to concentrate on bridging that gap to Bodan. Got about a second, 2 seconds between them to try and catch up. That's quite an ask given how quick Bodan is, and McMahon just a little bit further up the road. Humphrey though sitting pretty at the moment, got himself a nice little gap back to McMahon. You can see there just out of draft range at this moment in time, and Humphrey, just under 15 minutes to go, is looking really good out there.
Yeah, 1.9 seconds. Half a second slow on that last lap, so McMahon will play catch up. I'm just concerned. Oh, as Wolf, I think Wolf is dropping down the order significantly. There he is.
Ooh.
Max Wolf. Good drive in race 1. This was Seb Rowe and Aaron Powell alongside one another going into the corner. Powell then goes off the circuit. Oh, comes back on. Oh, Wolf in the end has lost it by himself. Takes way too much of that curb and launches himself into the wall. How that car is still moving, I am unsure, but he will definitely have to get his faster pair, and there he goes back into the pits. Shame for the 118 car. Decent race was top in Dios spots, but not a good race 2 at the moment for them. Godzik then back up into 4. He momentarily lost the place to Brown, but I think he's finally shaken off Brown. The gap up to 7 tenths, and you should have the opportunity to pull a bit of a gap between him and the BMW in the middle part of the lap. With really any corners at all. Now also only 1.9 seconds to Hutchinson, a little bit further back. Hutchinson's and Saul, it's again alongside one another. I think 3rd and 4th last season in the amateur championship. Hutchinson's getting the promotion, however, due to his very good qualifying performances, and he is currently ahead of the amateur driver. In 15th place, got a big gap though up ahead. They've got 8 seconds in fact. That's a chasm between him and the 14th place driver.
It is indeed. Adrianson just seems to be going from strength to strength, doesn't he? He's on a bit of a wave at the moment, driving really well. And he's having a good old battle with Saul, who's arguably right on the cusp, isn't he? Well, in my opinion, anyway, of kind of the Am Pro divide. He's right on the cusp of it. So great battle between them. Both very respectful drivers. We've seen them over the last couple of seasons that they're willing to get stuck in, but they're very fair with it. And we see just behind them as well Dean Powell, who's not having a bad run at all. He's a lot quieter than last week. He seems to have got his braking a bit better this week than he did at Road America. Seems to be keeping his nose out of trouble, and is currently on the podium for AMS, which is a great result for him.
mScienceUK.com only being formed of Dean Powell and Daniel Lee, so they need to score well, the pair of them, in order to have a chance at the championship. I think they do have a chance at the championship, especially with such a competitive lineup. They do have a shot. Lots of other teams having points taken off one another. I think in the past, maybe EBSR have been able to kind of rely on a couple of their drivers getting in the top 10. I think this season will be a bit more tricky with that, as they've got to drive well in every round. No drop downs in the team's championship. Stephen Leahy there, almost getting contact with Adam Coles. Coles, who may end up as being the highest point scorer in the amateur category tonight. Actually, Brown will be. Yeah, it looks like Brown will be. Apologies for that. But he's still doing well. It's Coles. But he is behind Leahy now. Lots of little small battles out there. Of course, you can check out the live timing link in the description below. Provided by SDK Gaming. There goes Daniel Lee, who after a couple of incidents in previous seasons has become a bit more passive. Nothing passive about that. Battles his way past Matty Chambers there.
Just shows how important the draft is here at this track. But where the field have kind of spread out, we're not seeing the big gains that we're used to in race 2, are we? With Daniel Lee all the way down in 11th place, Chambers 12th, Powell 10th. They can't really make any inroads in that because the field is so spread. They're way out of the toe, and taking nothing away from Nick Brown, but that's what's kept him within the top 5, although he's battling with Godzik again. He's driving brilliantly, but if that toe wasn't there, would he have been swallowed up earlier is the question. Hutchinson on the scene now as well. Brown with a pretty rubbish getaway from the first chicane, and Hutchinson just sneaks by him round the outside of Curva Grande. He's caught up quite a bit, hasn't he, where Brown and Godzik have been battling, and Godzik feeling the need to go defensive.
Race lead change. Tom McMahon ahead now of Bob Humphrey. That one's been coming for a little while. Bojan's got to get past straight away now. in order to have any chance at this race win. But the car number 1 on course for his first race victory of the season and potentially the championship lead as well. Bodan still just behind in 3rd. And we'll try to get past into Parabolica or Zone 1, but that was kind of expected, to be fair. Adam, we never see Humphrey put up much of a fight against McMahon. There's been a few occasions like this in race 2s where he's been leading, but McMahon catches up to him, and now he can do his teammate a little bit of service by holding up the Swede just behind.
Yeah, he's kind of the almost guy, isn't he? Oh, who's that man in the background? That was very close. McKeown in the background looked like he was about to take out a couple of cars as they come swinging through Ascari, but managed to get away with it. Here's that group then. Matthew Chambers right in the thick of it again. We never see him out on his own, do we? He's always in the middle of something. And with this battle here has been going for a while. Lee in there, Chambers, Powell, Rue, all going at it, just trying to fight over the bottom end of the top 10. That's incredible.
Lee to the front of this train then. But Chambers is going to try to come back. Rose should have a pretty good view of this. So too will Aaron Powell. He puts his car in the middle of the track. It's defense. One of the best race circuits, well, not necessarily best to drive, but if you just go defensive in, yeah, a little bit of a tap bounce. Then what will cost reminder that Powell is in America. This is a European server that we're using, so maybe a little bit of netcode, but I think that time so there was proper contact. Chambers nowhere near Lee on the brakes, so no problem for Daniel Lee. Seems to be playing well. I think Chambers with a bit of damage, to be fair. You can see a bit of damage there. I think it's costing him quite bad at the moment, which is a shame for him. Was running quite high up, of course, was Chambers and Powell, in fact, further earlier on, but they've kind of just been going down the order. So maybe they both got damage. I'm not quite sure.
I think just up ahead of this, Hutchinson had a bit of an issue because he was running 4th ahead of Godzik. They had a little bit of a battle going on, and Godzik got ahead of him. Now Eipenberg is ahead of him, and Brown is back past him as well. So I'm not quite sure, A, where Eipenberg's come from. I didn't realise he was that close, so good effort from him. And B, what's happened to Hutchinson? I don't see any obvious damage on his car. But somewhere along the line, he's had an issue.
Yeah, he was up a couple of places. Bodan up into 2nd place, but he's having a battle with Humphrey. It's a big moment of the race at the moment for Bodan, who hasn't been able to get the move done, so he stays in 3rd place and losing time as well to race leader McMahon. Godzik going defensive against Eipenberg, and Eipenberg should be up into 4th. Can he get it done? Remember, 2nd place in race 1, 4th place in race 2 might make him the highest point scorer for today. Godzik squeezing across him. Oh, they make contact. That was aggressive there from Godzik, and that might change the game here. Eipenberg might get a bit more aggressive himself. He is ahead. That was naughty there from the Figa Sim Sports driver, just trying to squeeze his rival as much as possible, forcing him to take a tighter line. And now, straight away offline because Brown is going back against him again. These two can't have enough of one another. I think for about the 5th time in this race, they do change positions. And Hutchinson just behind in 7th. They have got 6 seconds back to Daniel Lee.
I think by the end of this race, Godzik he'll be pleased to see the back of Brown. He's been a real thorn in his side, hasn't he? Look, they're going side by side again into Ascari. Oh, a little bit of contact. There, where has he gone? He's on the grass. He's keeping it straight. Well held, sir. Well held. Very unfortunate. Totally accidental. You see two guys running right on the limit going through Ascari. Not much you can do with contact like that. But yeah, with only 4.5 minutes to go, I think that's Godzik's battle for P5 done. In the background, though, we've got Powell and we've got Chambers battling once again. Chambers looking to the outside of Parabolica.
So Powell got ahead. I think Powell is much faster. I think Chambers has got a bit of damage. But Powell can pull away. Powell has got some damage. You can see it on that rear wing as well. That's slightly misshaped. What is it? Maybe? I don't know. But he's currently alongside. I'm not Adrian Newey at all. Roy, apologies, just behind. Grabson as well. Has he talked about Grabson at least too much? So down 7 no, that's just my screen, I think. Grabson, I don't even know where he starts doing that. But he is in 12th place at the moment. Is the Danish driver, and of course Cohen as well after that off. 3 seconds behind. He is catching these guys though by 2 seconds a lap. Lee, by the way, on that last lap took 3 seconds out of Brown and Hutchinson's and 6 seconds out of Godsick. So he is catching up majorly. Oh, Bodan is down the inside of McMahon. They make contact again. Where is this attack come from Jonas Boden? Apologies, that was on Humphrey. Apologies for that. But the second time he makes contact with an EBUSR driver. And that's how good Humphrey is defending right now. He's not known necessarily for his defensive abilities. But he's doing a great job of keeping Boden behind at the moment. He's been getting pretty desperate to try and move into Ascari.
That did look like a desperate lunge. Humphrey is, you're absolutely right, he's not known for his defensive abilities because he doesn't usually have to do it. He will just drive his normal line and say to the guy behind, well, this is my pace, I'm happy with it. How are you going to drive around me? Boden having a look to the inside. Humphrey late on the brakes. Surely Boden's too far back. Oh, he throws it up anyway. Humphrey just continues his line. There he's seen it right there. He just continues his line. He knows that he's got the car space that he needs. He's well aware of how wide his car is. And he just pops it back onto the second apex and says, Boden, you're going to have to do better than that.
Outside again. Maybe he's going to do better than previous this time. Oh, that's good momentum from Bodan. Can't keep out of his car alongside. Now he has a big side as well as he skips over the curb. We've only got one more lap to go after this one. He's got to get past very soon. As Bob Humphrey, or apologies, as Jonas Boden for that second place. It's already a race winner this season, and these are all big points for the championship. It's going to remain close between McMahon, Humphrey, apologies, McMahon, Bodan, Eichenberg will be up there, Lee will be up there as well. Godsick actually won't be too far back, because Godsick was championship leader going into this round, but I think it would be McMahon taking a championship lead after this round, which would be pretty remarkable considering the issues that he's had so far. Bodan will have a decent chance into turn 1. Behind then, the battle between Brown, Godsick, Lee has at the moment calmed down a bit. Lee actually ahead of Hutchinson. Hutchinson just with an awful lap, lost 6 seconds on that lap. Not quite sure what happened to him there. Was it Hutchinson who actually skipped across Ascari?
No, that was Godsick, yeah. I think 6 seconds is, that's got to be a slowdown somewhere. Surely that's that sort of time. Humphrey, oh, he's just been done on the inside there by Bode and finally gets the job done. Throws it up to the inside for the 3rd or 4th lap in a row. Finally gets the move done. Humphrey has to concede. This is going to be the last lap, so is he going to sit there and take the 3rd place, or is he going to come back? Not really close enough. Flashing his lights, trying to put Boden off. Not going to work coming into the second chicane. He's running out of time to get that P2.
He's not scared of the curbs. Here he goes to the inside. Oh, he's going to be on the grass against Bodan, but he's still going down the inside. Surely contact between the two of them. There is, and Bodan skates across the gravel. He'll stay in the podium places. I think that was fair dues for Humphrey. Bodan might want the stewards to investigate that one after the race. But from that viewing, it looked as though Humphrey had the run coming out of this chicane, got part of his car alongside, and then Bodan tried to force him off. Here is the replay once again. Bodan not with a very good run. Maybe you could argue that there wasn't a car's width in the first place. If he was going for a gap that wasn't there. Squeezing your opponent so much, you're almost asking for contact. And the 1-12 goes off. It's going to be an EBUSR 1-2 victory, and it's going to be a first race victory of the season for Tom McMahon. Denied in race 1 by Jonas Boden. He would not be denied in race 2, and it's about time. Tom McMahon wins race 2 at Monza. Car number 1 back on top. It's 1-2 for Evo SR. Only changes behind. Lee couldn't catch up to Godsick in the end. Brown with a superb 5th place, the amateur driver. Gravson remaining in 10th. He's got past Aaron Powell near the end. McCohen catching up to them in the closing stages, but he couldn't quite get there. A little bit of a disappointing race in the end for Aaron Powell. Still decent points for him on the board, going home in 11th place. Top of the amateur drivers was Nick Brown. Congratulations to the Turkish driver. Also, Joseph Saul finishing in 15th place, just ahead of Jensen Adriansen's. Brilliant battle between the two of those guys. Saul managing to win out. That will be a nice bit of pride for him. We've also got Tom Stevens, just ahead of Mark Heron. Haven't seen these two too much today. Stevens for Pro Academy Sim Sports Black, so he will take home 27th place, and Heron in 28th. But a very good race too there from Tom McMahon. It was seemingly that getting through the traffic, which absolutely was the key there. Bowden had the chance to get past McMahon when McMahon got a little bit held up by one of the drivers early on. He couldn't quite take it, could Jonas. And McMahon, in the end, with a little bit of help from Bob Humphrey, takes a comfortable race victory.
It just shows, doesn't it? If you've got a rear gunner with you, then it certainly makes the job a little bit easier. But McMahon doing what he did all last season in race 2, was just biding his time, finding the moves when he needed to make them, and getting himself to the front of the pack. I do worry a little bit for Humphrey. I'm with you. It did seem like he maybe tried to force a move, went in a gap that really probably wasn't there. Such a shame, because it was a great battle up until that point, but they still finish on the podium between the two of them anyway. So, it was good to watch regardless.
Yeah, definitely. And there it is, Tom McMahon taking the race win. Bob Humphrey in 2nd place. Jonas Bowden finishes in 3rd. Good points for Dennis Eichenberg in 4th place. Beats out his teammate Nick Brown, who will surely be at the front of the Amateur Championship now. Although he had a pretty bad Road America round, Nick Brown, so I'm not 100% sure about that one. Arthur Godzik finishes in 6th place. He'll be furious with that, because he could have won. Maybe not won. But he certainly a podium was on the cards there for Godzik, but his race was absolutely ruined by Nick Brown. Daniel Lee, great recovery after a poor start, was 24th at one point, was Lee. Recovers back up to 7th place, keeps himself very much in the championship fray. Mark Hutchinson in a little bit of a frustrating 8th place in the end. Still a few places going for him though. Matthew Chambers in 9th, Mads Grafson in 10th. There's Aaron Powell, Luke McCohen, James Crouch, Seb Rowe, Joseph Saul, Jensen Adriansens, Dean Powell, Alex Moore, Callum Wright, Stephen Leahy, Adam Coles, Max Wolf, Jay Steffi, Daniel Sabo, Kevin Kittelman, Robert Lundgren, from pole position, I think, was Lundgren as well. Tom Stevens was in 27th. There was Mark Heron, Ryan Jones, Tom Bingham, Steve Brown, John Gordon, Tim Perry, James Saltz, John Chessida, and Emil Wimbo, who retired from the race. The top 30 all scoring points as they finished on the lead lap. Everyone else finishing more than 1 lap down. So we will get a chat with some of the drivers who we're going to have a talk with first day. Oh, it's not totally obvious. They've all had good days, to be fair, of these drivers. I always like talking, to be fair, to Daniel Lee. So we'll drag Daniel up right now. Congratulations, Daniel. That was a little bit like Road America. It could have been a little bit better, but considering the circumstances, I don't think you can feel too disappointed. You seem to get pretty much everything out of that.
Yeah, every bit of juice was squeezed out of that. I drove my heart out in both races. Really speaking, the failure started with quali. For some reason, I'm capable of a 44.2 round here if I really put the pin down, but in quali I had disasters and just ran out of time, which put me down in 8th place. Had I done better job in qualifying, we could have seen a win out of it, given what happened to McMahon and Bowden, but yet again, I think it's just going to be try again. Race 2 was somewhat the same. When you get a reverse grid, sometimes you're lucky with traffic and you can easily slice past the people who are out of pace. This time it was so packed, it was too wide everywhere, and I couldn't take the advantage that we had. We had a lot of speed, a lot of straight line speed, and we just couldn't put it down.
coming out of this round, you are probably 20 points off the championship lead, something like that. So, would you say that your first 2 rounds have been successful? I think you're the only guy who's finished in the top 10 in every race, I think.
Based on this consistency, yeah, if we can carry it through to the end, then we're going to be pretty proud of what we've done. But there is still a skill gap between me and McMahon and Bowden that really showed itself in race 2. You've got to be aggressive. You've got to slice through the traffic. I've got to channel my inner Grosjean next time if I end up that far back in the first grid. I've got to do it. And that's the difference between them and me. I've got to make the chances happen. And this race 2, I just couldn't. So we'll do again. We'll do better next race.
Yeah, and we've now got a week break. What do you do during the week's break? Do you continue practicing for the next round of the championship just for 2 weeks, or do you have a week off and maybe have an off week from iRacing, or maybe go look at some other cars?
You've got to time the practice right. When you practice for a league race, because you kind of foaming at the mouth to see how you're going to do for the next round, and if you do too much practice, you actually burn out. So we're going to take a break. We're going to take a week break anyway, and then come midweek next week, that's when we'll start practicing and get our head back in the game again. So yeah, it's time to put the feet up a little bit, then put the hammer down next week.
Definitely. Thanks for having a chat with us, Daniel. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to? Yeah, shout out to niece and nephew, Harvey and Darcy. If you see this, hello. I know you've been watching and waving and shouting and all sorts. Also to msignsuk.com. They've been watching too. They make vehicle wraps, vehicle graphics. So, as I said last week, they're the guys to go to if you need anything graphical done in terms of events or cars. And thanks to you guys for the broadcast stream and the league. Thank you very much. Awesome. Thank you, Daniel. And we'll see you back in a couple of weeks. Harvey and Darcy. If you're listening along, fantastic names. Your parents love you. Is all I can say. If they've named you that, brilliant names. Congrats to the parents if they're listening along. Well done.
Gonna need to tell their uncle to go and see a doctor if he's frothing at the mouth before races.
Yeah.
Maybe a vet.
Look after him. Yeah. Who would you like to have a chat with, Adam?
I'm going to have a chat with Nick Brown, because what a great result that was, all things considered. First race was pretty quiet, but the second race he was getting really stuck in. Nick, it was brilliant to watch. Talk us through that second race, because you were not giving in to any of the pro drivers whatsoever.
No, there was a strategy behind it, because obviously we realised Dennis wasn't too far behind. Not gonna lie, we were just holding him up, and that's what the whole process was. And then obviously we've done a good job of it, because Dennis got P4 in the end, didn't he?
He did, yeah. But let's be honest, though, the drive that you were giving, regardless of what these team orders are, was monumental. Obviously, this is your first season in the league. How are you finding it? We've got some very quick drivers out there. How are you finding it? How are you dealing with it?
Last week was a bit tough. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think I performed that well. This week, Monza is one of my strong points. Obviously, as I've done the F3 race and I've finished quite well there as well. I just had to go for it, really. Obviously, being at the top of the grid for race 2, there's no point in holding back anymore, is there?
No, absolutely not. We do have a week off next week, but I'm guess you'll be gutted to hear that. I'm sure you'll be raring to go.
Actually, I'm not. I'm going back home. I'm going to Turkey. I'm going back to my homeland of Turkey.
Right.
For a week. So I'm glad that the break's coming up, to be honest.
Well, fair enough. It's all right for some. A nice bit of downtime between the races. So obviously you're leading the or won the AM category tonight in race 2. Are you looking? Obviously, you want to build on that. What's your long-term goal? This is obviously the first time we've spoken to you. So tell us what your goal is for this season. Where do you want to see yourself come the end of the season?
Because my GT experience is very limited. Ideally, I want to finish with a nice healthy amount of points. If I don't win, I won't be upset, to be honest, because, like you said, the field in all classes are quite challenging. To be fair, some tracks suit other people better, and Monza's one of my strongest points. To be fair.
I'll tell you what, that's a great attitude to have. Yeah, no, fair play. I applaud you on that one. It's been great speaking to you. Great watching you this evening. Before we let you go, is there anyone you want to give shout outs to? Any sponsors or such like?
Oh, just my team, High Caliber Autosport, run by Callum, who also runs in the league. Absolute great guy. Cheers for giving us a platform to race, to be honest. And that's about it, really.
Oh, you're very welcome. P5 in race 2 tonight and taking the AM win. Once again, congratulations, Nick, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. And do enjoy your time back in Turkey.
Oh, I'll try to. Cheers. Thank you very much.
I don't know why Nick is saying, "Oh, thank goodness the break week is there." Paid a lot of money for that break week, $6,000 and a trip to Turkey. I'm going with him next week.
I'd love to go.
Well, next season, if he wants a break week, I'll get you a ticket as well. It's such innocence being played by some of these drivers, honestly.
We'll have to have a chat with Alex Simpson, see if we can get the Apex Racing TV minibus on the go again.
Oh, lovely. You mean private jet?
Yeah, I call it a minibus because I don't want people getting the wrong end of the stick.
Yeah. we don't want to pay VAT on it, do we? Absolutely.
No, absolutely.
So next up, we'll talk with one of the highest point scoring drivers from today. It's Dennis Eipenberg, who managed to get a 2nd place and a 4th place today. Dennis, you must be very happy with that. Not sure if you've outscored Tom at quite, but you can't be far off him if you haven't. That was pretty much a perfect round as far as I could see. You didn't seem to put a foot wrong.
I don't know. Where did Tom finish the first race?
I think it was 6th.
Okay, yeah. Then I don't know the point score from the top of my head, so I don't know. But yeah, it was pretty close. Very intense first race. Daniel Lee is becoming my worst nightmare because no matter which track we're racing, he always seems to be 2 tenths away. Very big in my rear mirror. And I don't know how I actually managed to keep him behind me this race, because I was sure that when he closed the 2-second gap between us, that there was no chance of us of me keeping ahead of him. So I wasn't actually going to defend very hard, but he actually went for a move in front of before Ascari, and I knew that was going to be very difficult to actually make that move stick. And once we got through that corner unscathed, I knew that was done. But yeah, intense, really intense.
Definitely, and in that race 2, you seem to be a little bit left behind by Bodan and McMahon at the start. Take us through those first few corners, because it seemed like Lee got a really poor start, but you seem to get an all right start from your starting place.
To be fair, Daniel actually did have a poor start, because before the race start, I thought, you know what, now I'm actually going to be in your mirror for a while, and it took less than 1 straight, and I was already ahead of him. What's his name? Jonas and Tom, they were 4 cars or something ahead of me, so you can't really follow their tracks. Plus, I don't know, but I was missing a little bit top speed, I thought, because every time when I had a car in front of me who was in draft of someone else, I had to do something out of the ordinary to actually overtake them, or for them to make a mistake, because otherwise it would have been close to impossible. But yeah, you always know that people are going to make a couple of mistakes in front of you. And I just decided to be as patient as I could possibly be, and hopefully be able to grab the opportunities that will come to me.
Next round of the championship is a bit of an unusual one. It's Charlotte's Motor Speedway, the Roval course.
Yeah.
Any experience there besides the Mazdas?
Zero, absolutely zero experience. So I don't even have the track. So I'm gonna.
It's free. It's free. So
Is it?
you've got it already. There you go. That's one box ticked.
Oh, you
One
just
box.
made my day, Sam.
Yeah. Saved you £10.99 there.
I mean, I am Dutch,
$14.99.
so and anything that's cheap, that's brilliant. Thank you.
Awesome. Is there anyone you'd like to give thanks to?
Yeah, obviously my team members, Callum, Tobias couldn't be here tonight, but the biggest thanks goes out to Nick, because Nick did help me try to hold a couple of people in front of me up, and that worked eventually. I mean, you can catch them, but you still have to overtake them. There were a couple of scary moments when the four of us actually came together, but yeah. That worked out brilliantly. So the biggest thanks goes out to Nick today.
Thanks for having a chat with us, Dennis, and see you in a fortnight's time.
Thank you as well, and see you in 2 weeks.
Dennis Eippenberg there for High Caliber Autosports Pro, one of the highest point scoring drivers of the day. Also, we can now call him Cheapskate Dennis, which is good. Shouldn't have said that, Dennis. Hey. I wait for him to leave the commentary box so he can't show a rebuttal because I won't be able to bring back something myself. Who would you like to talk with next, Adam?
I think it's only right we have a chat with Bob Humphrey, who joins us now. I'm going to get straight to the point, Bob. How much a gap was there on that last lap in race 2? How much gap was there, and was the move on in your eyes?
Being an Englishman, I work everything out in double-decker buses, and there was at least 4 double-decker buses space to get through there. At least, I mean, I'm slightly short-sighted and long-sighted and blind in 2 eyes, but other than that, yeah, there was definitely room.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was there. It was, yeah. We'll find out, I guess, when the stewards have a look at it. But I was just having so much fun, I didn't want to give it up, and I wanted to get those points for Tom, and I felt like I was pushed onto the grass. And once I was on the grass, I was done. I was stuck there. So, yeah, we'll find out. But up until that point, that was one of the most fun races. I'm sure Bowden didn't enjoy it so much, but I was really enjoying that race.
It was certainly entertaining from where we were sitting, and it was good to see you at the sharp end. I know we've commented before, and I know I've certainly said it before, that you're kind of the almost guy. You've got the pace, but you're not quite up there with the quickest of them.
Yeah,
but today
I can't qualify, and I actually ended up missing the start of race 1, which turned into a bit of a blessing because then I worked my way up to 20th and then started 5th on the grid. So thank you, Wheel of Fortune.
So it has been a little bit of a slow burner. The first round was not great for you. This one, you've come away with a handful of points. Definitely going in the right direction now, I think. Is this, obviously you can want to build upon this. Yeah, where do you see yourself next time at the Roval?
Well, it's a bit of a twisty track, isn't it? Which I think should suit the Porsche more. I think the first 2 tracks of the season was a little bit daunting, a bit nervous of like the Ford GT and the M8 because they're just a bit more sort of speedy and slippery cars. They're saying Beamer's not slippery, but it's just got a load of brute force. So hoping that the following tracks should be a bit more suited to the wiggly nature of the 911. So maybe good, maybe. We will see.
Maybe. Nice conviction in your words. I like it.
Probably, definitely going to be interesting. Let's put it that way.
Gotcha. Now, I just want to touch on one more thing really quickly. You said about getting Tom the points. Are there team orders going on? Are we seeing that, or is it something that you're just doing out of the goodness and kindness of your own heart?
I have no goodness or kindness, but it's more. There's no stopping Tom. Like Tom is just an alien compared to me. He's got a second on me, so there's no point. And he's a teammate, so there's no point slowing him down. Whereas Bowden, yes, he's got a second on me, but he's not a teammate, so I'll race him as hard as I can. But we're not on the radio to each other, me and Tom. He goes to a quiet room. I go to a very chatty room. We all have a laugh in the chat. Whereas Tom likes to concentrate, get his head down. So no, there's no team orders, but There's common sense, shall we say?
I don't think I've ever heard that before from a racing thing. Common sense. Sam, have you heard of this thing? What is this common sense?
He
Bob,
doesn't
it's
know.
great. No, he doesn't know. It's great to chat with you again. It's been too long, but good to speak to you again. Before we let you go, do you want to give any shout outs or thanks?
Obviously, always the Evo SR group. We're always having practice sessions, and thanks to the guys who put on practice this week, Mr. Kittleman, so thank you for that. And just my dad, who's probably listening. Hi, Dad. Love you lots.
Well, hi, Bob's dad from everyone in the commentary booth. Bob, pleasure as always. Don't leave it so long next time. And
I'll see you soon, hopefully.
yeah, we'll see you in 2 weeks at Charlotte.
Fingers crossed. Catch you later, chaps.
Well, Humphrey there for Evo SR. We're going to have one more quick chat because we've got one more driver to talk with. We're going to drag in Adam Coles now into the commentary box because Adam managed to finish top of the amateur drivers in race 1. Congratulations, Adam, on that feat.
Thank you.
And it seemed very tight out there. I think he started like maybe mid-20s during that first race. I mean, how was it kind of racing against drivers today?
It was okay. It wasn't like it was all out, but it wasn't too dangerous. You would just kind of see if you get a good run out of Parabolica, or maybe even just defend coming into the T1 chicane, which I did quite a lot.
And then how was the race 2 as well? You started up in 7th place. I mean, how was it starting in that region of the circuit? Because it seemed to get a little bit chaotic around there.
Yeah, yeah, very much. Because the reverse grid put me in a situation where it was sink or swim. Really, you're either gonna make it and you're gonna be in top 15 maybe, or you're just not. And I just kind of accepted that. I'm just gonna let them go because they're much faster than me, and I'm not fighting for any of them in the amateur championship. Although I was with Nick Brown, I didn't realize he was started in 3rd. I think it was. I think he started in 3rd.
Yeah, and ended up in 5th place. He was pretty quick today, Nick. However, you scored some good points today. Any eyes on the amateur championship? You're putting yourself into a good place after today.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely looking top 5 at least. I think I'm capable of that. I think it really just depends on the shock results because this week was bipolar opposite of last week. They're terribly at Road America. So yeah, it's very much luck based, but it's a good chunk of it.
We certainly wish you the best luck for the future rounds, Adam. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
I'd like to give a shout out to Max Fast, who's our sponsor, and the rest of the Indie Autosport guys who continue to make these races a lot of fun, to be in just the Discord chat and just talking. It's very fun.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on today's results, Adam, and we'll hope to see you back very soon.
Okay, I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yes, 2 weeks. See you then.
Okay, see you then.
Adam Coles there for Indie Autosport Gold. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to have a chat with Maxwell as we have already gone a little bit over the over our broadcast time limit. But Adam, next up, Charlotte Roval. I'm really looking forward to that one. It's an underutilized circuit. It's a weird circuit. You got some sections have walls right on the side of the circuit. Some sections have plenty of runoff. You got elevation change for a Roval. You haven't really got any mega long straights either. Might be easy to overtake, might be hard to overtake. I don't know. That's going to be a weird one, and one that we could see a bit of a mixed up result.
I've never raced there. Since it's been on the service, I haven't driven it. I haven't raced there. I've seen all the memes on Reddit about it, though, and the flying cars over curbs and whatnot. So I'm kind of looking forward to it from a oh god, he didn't just do that, did he? Kind of perspective. But I'm also interested to see how these guys tackle it, because it is incredibly different to anything else that we've raced on so far. So I'm definitely looking forward to it, and hopefully they can keep it clean, and hopefully we can have a belter of a week.
Fortunately, we're using the new chicane, so not quite the launching it was. Legendary corner up there with the Singapore sling, way better than the Singapore sling, in fact. Was that chicane? Matt, I mean, he's ideal as that, honestly. Yeah, so we'll be back with you then for the third round of the Apex Racing League GT Championship in a fortnight's time. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave a like on it, and then I'm sure YouTube will recommend you future videos. This series, it'll probably specify this series to recommend to you, and you don't need to remember to keep an eye out on it. However, make sure you do watch it by subscribing to the iRacing Esports Network or to Apex Racing TV, or just both. That's probably the wise thing to do. Loads more action coming out. Certainly watch out for the Apex Racing League Touring Car Championship coming back on Thursday. So catch that one on both of those channels. That'll be round 3 of the season in that one. And yeah, certainly do check out our social media as well on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. That's at Apex Racing TV. But for now, from me, Sam Fitzpatrick, from Adam Hedgehog, and from Sam Kumo, it's McMahon back on top. We'll see you back at Charlotte Roval in a couple of weeks' time. See you then.